Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is September 9th, 2020, and these are the top stories of the day. Now before I get started, I will let you know this is a pretty heavy day for Xbox news, but don't worry, there is some other stuff to go over from other companies as well, but bear with me. The news that I'm about to tell you, if you're a game fan, should still be exciting, even if you're not particularly an Xbox fan. This is still worth going over, and I think is pretty exciting stuff, especially because it's new console related. So yesterday, Microsoft announced that the Xbox Series S would be coming out for $300 and releasing on November 10th. Well, today they announced that the Xbox Series X, the premium edition of their next-gen console, will also be releasing on November 10th and for $500. This is what we thought the pricing structure would look like. $500 for one, $300 for the other. And I've got to say, depending on the type of gamer that you are, either platform might be good for you to go into because you're going to have the most powerful system with Series X at $500. So if you don't care too much about exclusives and you just want the best place to play the majority of the games that come out next generation from a third-party perspective, at least right now, it looks like Xbox Series X is going to be the platform to go with over PlayStation 5, assuming that both are $500 and do share the majority of third-party multi-platform games. If you're a budget gamer, or if you already know that you're a PS5 gamer first, Xbox Series S is pretty affordable that it could be your gateway system into next-gen gaming or your second system if you're a PS5 owner or a Nintendo Switch owner. That $200 price gap between the two really makes Microsoft have something for almost everyone. Both come out November 10th. Pre-orders start September 22nd, which is pretty soon. 13 more days and you'll be able to pre-order officially either console. Next up on Xbox news is a pretty big announcement just released this morning from Microsoft and EA. You can see here, EA Play is coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and Xbox Game Pass PC later this year. I've spoken about how attractive Xbox Game Pass is in previous video game news segments and video game talk segments at just $10 a month and how much you get. Or specifically with Ultimate, $15 a month. Now, EA Play is normally a $5 a month subscription, but it won't cost anything extra now if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. So that means you're getting $20 worth of value for $15. EA did announce that if you are an existing owner of an EA Play subscription, you will get refunded for the duration of how much is left on your subscription. And that makes sense. That means Star Wars is coming, FIFA's coming, Madden's coming. You'll be able to play as the LA Rams in the brand new SoFi Stadium. On your Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S, as long as you have an Ultimate subscription, Game Pass, have EA Play in there, that just means more access to more games for less cost. That's pretty impressive. That's a big deal. Comes out this holiday season. Not bad, Microsoft. They're really pushing hard to get gamers in and make their platform as attractive, as consumer friendly as possible. I think the only thing Microsoft needs to secure is exclusives. They have a great library in Rare titles from the previous generations where Rare was really successful on Nintendo. If we see Perfect Dark come back, Banjo-Kazooie come back, Conker's Bad Fur Day come back, Jet Force Gemini, Blast Corps, Cameo, Elements of Power, Grabbed by the Ghoulies, Viva Pinata. Some of those later ones mentioned were Xbox created, but the previous ones were Nintendo created, and that's where a lot of fans hold a lot of stock in Rare. If Microsoft could bring those back, continue a solid flow of titles like Killer Instinct and Battletoads, Gears of War, Halo, I think you're looking at a pretty solid first-party lineup. You know, you throw in Game Pass and EA Play, and you really have a lot of exclusives that are on the system and a lot of third-party games, because third-party games are also on Game Pass Ultimate, so you're not just getting Microsoft's first-party titles like Sea of Thieves, but you're also getting other stuff like Red Dead Redemption 2, some high-profile heavy hitters from other companies. So that's pretty exciting news in my opinion. Next up is a payment plan that Microsoft is offering. You could buy an Xbox Series X for $500, okay? Just like you could buy a smartphone for its price. You could buy an Xbox Series S for $300. But like the smartphone business handles it, you could have a payment structure where you're paying no more for the overall cost of the product. You're just paying it monthly. That's actually a pretty nice idea, to have it transfer over from the popular business model that smartphones have into home consoles. It's not the first time Microsoft has done it, but to launch a system like this is pretty attractive. Now, if you look at this deal right here, it's $35 a month for 24 months. Now that does add up to $840, which is $340 more than an Xbox Series X. So what does that cost entail? Well, that gives you 24 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which now includes EA Play. So you're actually paying, with this $340 extra charge, 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate costing you only $14.15 a month. That's a little bit less even than what Game Pass Ultimate costs, being $14.99 a month. So if you know you're going to buy an Xbox Series X and you know you're going to use this as a device to play a lot of games, you know you're going to be an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, well, why pay $500 up front and continue paying $15 every month when you could pay this $840 over 24-month payment plan, which essentially makes your Game Pass Ultimate subscription $14.15 a month instead of $14.99, right? So it's actually even more affordable. Likewise, with Xbox Series S, you pay $25 a month for 24 months. That ends up being $600 over the duration of 24 months, over 2 years. Now we know that Xbox Series S comes out for $300. So what does this extra $300 give you? 24 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Now when you divide that $300 by 24 months, you come out to $12.50 a month that you're paying for Game Pass Ultimate. So now it's even more attractive of a deal. It's saving you it's saving you $2.50 a month on Game Pass Ultimate. So once again, if you know you're going to get this Xbox Series S, whether it's your primary console or your secondary machine just to play games. This is your hobby, you love playing games. It's your game machine. It's your Xbox. I was going to say game box, but it's your Xbox, right? If you know you're going to use it as such, then why wouldn't you sign up for this package? Pay less money up front, $25, do this plan over 24 months. You're actually going to save a little bit as opposed to paying $300 for the machine and $15 a month thereafter for 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate. It's very conveniently laid out right here in a bundle, and either option is quite nice. So I'm pretty impressed with what Microsoft is doing and being very, very pro-consumer. Next up, yesterday I had up here an Xbox Series X versus Xbox Series S spec comparison based off of what we did know and what we thought / we're told, but now we have official specs. This is coming at us straight from Microsoft, so no guesswork, no third-party sources collaborating together to try to come up with the specs. This is it. So let's see how the two systems fare. Xbox Series X is on the left and Xbox Series S is on the right. And here you can see what that $200 difference gets you. Both systems use an 8-core AMD Zen 2. The CPU on the Series X is 3.8 gigahertz. On Series S, it's 3.6. With SMT enabled, it goes from 3.6 on the X to 3.4 on the S. So it is a little bit faster of a machine in terms of CPU. In GPU, we look at the same AMD RDNA 2 GPU structure, and we got 52 CUDA cores at 1.825 gigahertz for the X, 20 CUDA cores at 1.565 gigahertz on the S. So that's a big jump right there. That's over double for the GPU speed on the Series X. GPU power is a huge difference. You're looking at 12.15 teraflops on the Xbox Series X compared to the Xbox Series S's 4. Now, as we mentioned yesterday in Video Game Talk, this 4 teraflop amount on the GPU for the Xbox Series S is less than the Xbox One X's teraflop level. But not all teraflops are created equal. We're dealing with a more advanced architecture in the Series S. We're having a better CPU, better GPU, better type of RAM, more advanced structure in the console itself. So this Xbox Series S is more capable of a video game machine than the Xbox One X. And it's coming out for less than the previous system did. It came out as the mid-gen refresh. System on chip still has a custom 7nm enhanced SoC. The RAM, here is a difference, 16 gigs of GDDR6 to 10 gigabytes at 560 gigabytes per second compared to 8 at 224, again over double, 6 gigabytes at 336 gigabytes per second, 2 at 56 gigabytes per second. This is a huge difference right here. This is triple in terms of how many gigabytes and at a much greater speed. So the percentage increase is far greater in overall RAM usage on the Xbox Series X. Storage, you're looking at 1 terabyte internal versus 512. The gigabytes per second uncompressed and compressed are the same, 2.4 for uncompressed, 4.8 for compressed. Expandable storage, both systems will use the same cards. Rumor has it that these cards are going to be in the neighborhood of $200 for an additional 1 terabyte expansion. Backward compatibility, the same on both. Obviously, the Xbox Series S is digital only. Xbox Series X is digital and your old discs. Disk drive, X has a 4K UHD Blu-ray. S is only digital. They're both HDMI 2.1. And then here's that $500 versus $300 difference. The Xbox Series X is really designed to be a 4K next-gen machine, powerful enough to be 4K 120 frames per second next-gen visuals. Xbox Series S is capable of 4K upscaling, but is designed to be a 1440p machine. It looks like I skipped over this one earlier. This is exactly what I was saying though. A 1440p machine at 60 frames per second can go up to 120 frames though. 4K at 60 up to 120 frames for the X. So overall, if you want the highest fidelity visuals, the best frame rate, the best resolution, and you're willing to pay the extra $200, Xbox Series X is for you. But if you want to get into the next gen, Series S is probably the way to go from a cost standpoint. That'll do it for Xbox talk though. That did make up the majority of today's video game news session. But moving on, happy birthday Dreamcast. $99.99. Sega came out with their last console, the Sega Dreamcast. Today is 9/9/2020, so it turns 21 years old today. Peter Moore, one of my old friends that I met at many E3s over the years. Here's him and I at E3 2006, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a good 14 years ago. He tweeted out today, happy birthday, Sega Dreamcast. We did a lot with that system. Somehow we managed to get a 56 kilobyte internet gaming machine out the door in 1999. Still had access, able to work, and kind of laid down the foundation of systems to come. After all, Xbox is what came next, and Peter Moore went from Sega to Xbox to EA, and now he's retired from that scene. But awesome person. We have a lot in common in terms of kinesiology and overall physical power. So Peter Moore, still a cool person, and I'm happy to see that he gave props to Sega today and reflected back on his time with the company and gave a shout out to Dreamcast. So I'm doing the same. Happy birthday, Dreamcast. Sega was a formidable foe. It would be interesting to see if they were still in the video game industry today as a console maker. Where would they be? What would their systems look like? What would they be called? How would these games from their backlog, Sonic, look like nowadays? How would the new Alter Beasts look like? Virtua Fighter. It's not that these games can't come out on other systems. In fact, they do often enough. We got Streets of Rage 4, in 2020, but I have a feeling that if they were running their own system and had a successful platform in 2020, we would see a lot more of their exclusive IP be released for the systems, as opposed to kind of scattered out across Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox. And finally, in game news today, Bloomberg announced that Nintendo is going to ramp up production of their Nintendo Switch with as many units in mind as possible, seemingly. They're going to crank it up to 30 million for this upcoming fiscal year. And that's impressive because they've already upped it a couple of times. They upped it to 25 million back in August, and now here we are a month later and they're upping it to 30. Now, a while ago I said I think Nintendo is capable, and it would be a challenge, but I think they're capable with the momentum they have to reach 80 million total units sold worldwide by March 31st, 2021, if not December 31st this year. Crazy bold prediction, but they're about 18 million and change away from the last financial report that we got, which put them at 61.4 million as of June 30th. So you're looking at another 18 million to be sold between July 1st and December 31st, or possibly July 1st and March 31st next year. Sounds crazy, but not really. Nintendo really sells the most during holidays. And if you look at the percentage of increase that the holiday season gives them over what they sell throughout the year, and if you apply that to how well they sold in 2020 so far, you could really see that that 18 million figure isn't impossible to achieve in just 6 months or 9 months if you want to be a little bit more safe. Definitely by upping their production to 30 million units, seeing how many more they could possibly create, seeing if there's going to be a Nintendo Switch Plus model of some sort coming out in 2021 in the first half or first quarter. There's a lot of what ifs. Some of it is speculation talk, but it's all worth noting in my opinion. It's a good conversation to have. I'm just excited to see what happens. We know that Super Mario 3D All-Stars is going to be big. We know that Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is going to be big. And I'm sure that there are still some surprises that are going to come out between December and March next year that will be giving people more incentive to buy Nintendo Switch hardware. But Yeah, time will tell. Let me know what you thought of news today. What do you think of all of this Xbox talk? Are you impressed? Are you convinced to buy an Xbox Series S or an Xbox Series X this November 10th? Are you going to pre-order? Which one are you going to get? Are you stoked to be a new Game Pass Ultimate subscriber? Or are you happy that you made the decision long ago and now you're going to get to benefit from having Star Wars titles and FIFA and Madden Battlefront included at no extra cost? Let me know. Also, talk to me about Dreamcast. Did you have a Dreamcast? Do you have any fond memories of it? Or were you never a Sega fan in the first place? And finally, do you think Nintendo will reach 80 million units sold by the end of this year or March 31st next year? Or do you think that this is kind of blown out of proportion and they're not going to do that well when stacked up against Xbox and PlayStation 5? I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Nintendo will do just fine with the new competition on the market. But let me know your thoughts. As always, thank you for watching. This is Paul Gale from Paul Gale Network signing out for today's video game news segment. I will talk to you soon. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye.